Guys, I'm ready.
Whoa.
Welcome to the Tug of More.
Guys, what's up, everybody? So glad that you're here.
Yes.
If you are only listening and not watching, you're missing my co-host, Dick Tracy.
Oh my gosh. We just talked to the young adults before we walked over here, and they were like, Dick Tracy, who's that? They had to Google it. They didn't know. But yeah, this is my outfit today. My giant yellow trench coat.
The other day, though, Whitney came in on a Sunday looking like Barney's little friend.
Hey, we can put in a picture.
Yeah, but the side-by-side
is the side-by-side.
Whitney on Sunday
right.
and Barney's friend.
What is her name? We still don't know.
I don't know, but I'll tell you this. The algorithm knows that I had been talking about Barney, and I got home that day and I saw on my Netflix or Hulu or somewhere a Barney documentary.
Are you serious?
Yeah, and so Rachel and I watched a Barney documentary.
Was it terrifying?
No, it was good.
Okay. It was wholesome?
Yeah, it was wholesome.
Okay.
But the
I didn't know
lady,
there was a scandal I didn't know about.
There's a couple scandals.
Oh.
You want me to just drop it? Spoiler alert? Okay,
sure.
Spoiler alert if you don't want to watch the 4-episode Barney documentary that I...
4 episodes?
Yeah, I think it was 4. The lady who invented Barney ruined her whole life, and it ruined her son's life, and he turned to drugs and all the things, and she got divorced because they became multimillionaires, and then...
Oh my word.
And then Barney...
More money, more problems?
Yeah, Barney became more important than the son. But guy, ready? Here's the scandal. The guy who was in the Barney costume became a male prostitute.
What?
They call it some kind of
a gigolo?
healer. No, like a healer. He has some weird Asian word and then healer. And so he would go around and
that's a scam.
Heal women's
that's a scam.
Sexual dysfunctions through his Barney power. And so they had to fire him, and
that's crazy.
Yeah. So Rich, it was one of those documentaries that you have it on and you're half paying attention.
Yeah.
And then you have to rewind it. Wait a second.
What did they just say?
What did they say?
Oh my word.
So Barney.
We watched the Subway one. That's pretty horrible too.
The Subway one?
Yeah, the Subway guy.
Jared?
Jared, yeah, that one's really bad.
Yeah, what a freak.
Yeah, it's crazy. So...
He's traveled around the country molesting junior hires.
The moral of the story is don't get famous and you'll be fine.
So thanks for joining us.
Yeah.
We sign out. Hey, let me tell you something. We are doing the Tug of More as a labor of love.
That's right.
Because we're not famous.
No, we're just two friends.
We got people in our church starting podcasts.
This is a segue.
We're getting people in our church starting podcasts, getting more viewers.
Good job, guys.
If you haven't watched Pastor Tim's podcast, he's probably smoking us.
A story worth telling.
Story worth telling.
And then the prodigal sons, Terry and Marcus.
This is what we do. Other YouTubers, they collab.
Yeah, we should. We should have a circle, a group session.
Okay,
that'll be super fun.
Here's what Tug More is.
Yeah.
Conversation between.
See, that's what I was doing.
Two friends.
We're just two friends
that talk about where we are.
Right.
But really where we want to be.
That's right.
That tension.
The fight, the struggle.
Of growth is what we call the tug of more.
Yep.
I don't know about you, but I feel like I'm always getting pulled into something more.
Yeah.
I'm not just satisfied with where we're at, but there's more about it.
We were in a conversation yesterday with one of our guys who's helped us financially in seasons, financial wisdom and stuff. And he said, well, it's good. He's like, I don't know what you're going to do, though, after this situation that we were talking about specifically is taken care of. He's like, because y'all are always going to find something. He's like, you like to keep it interesting and like to do multiple things all at once. And so he was like, maybe you'll get bored for a second. And we're like, no, we won't. We'll find something more. Which
with that, you better be paying attention because there's big news on the horizon.
We keep dropping things
I'm just saying.
I know.
You know what's going to happen is we film these episodes and we'll have a couple in the barrel. We're going to have to just interrupt it. And
we interrupt this podcast.
Yeah.
For breaking news.
Breaking news.
I can't wait.
Breaking news is on the way.
Dun, dun, dun. Then I can wear my jacket and it'll be more like a news anchor instead of Dick Tracy.
God's on the throne.
That's right.
It's his timing.
It's gonna be
maybe
so
I won't have any announcements.
Yeah, maybe not. Maybe you keep dripping and then we really have nothing to say. Oh dear God, we both had a panic attack.
Be dripping for 2 years.
No, so speaking of On the Throne, we've been doing a series for the last forever weeks at our church.
13
weeks of a series called Get Off Throne. It's been life-changing. It's been revolutionary. It's helped us step into a new era. And at the end of it, though, you talked about how there was still several things that we could still talk about. And really the heart of this podcast was birthed out of helping teach our people more that God had for them. And so one of the things that we've talked about a few of them over the last few weeks, but one of the things you talked about that last day and said, this is one we could talk about, and so we will on the Tug of More, is getting your peace off the throne, getting your passivity off the throne.
Yeah.
It sounds funny to say get your peace off the throne because peace is something we believe comes from God, but yet it's more the fight for peace. Some of us hold on to our peace over purpose, like all the time. And so today we just want to talk about that a little bit, bat it around.
Yeah.
And what does that mean to you?
Well, no, I think that it's the antithesis of some of the other ideas.
Exactly.
So like we talked about take your pace off the throne and rest.
Right.
We talked about take your protection off the throne and trust God.
Talked about your plan and like trust him with your plan, not your own plan that you formed, but yet peace is one that so many people fight for.
Yeah. But the word peace is also comfort, safety,
passivity,
ease,
comfortability,
lack of doing something difficult, tackling the thing. And when we put that kind of peace on the throne, anything we put on the throne is just something that rules.
Right.
It rules our life. It's in charge. It's the jefe. It's the boss. And we can let's just not rock the boat on the throne. Let's just smile and make everything okay. And we put that on the throne. And what that makes us do is not deal with stuff.
Correct. No, it's true. And so, we're not talking about holy peace that comes from God. We're talking about like man-made peace.
Fabricated pretend peace.
Yeah. Something I learned a long time ago was like there's a difference between being a peacemaker and a peacekeeper. And some people really try hard to be peacekeepers, which means we keep peace at all costs. Therefore, even the cost of my own purpose, my own calling, my own determination, and what God is literally speaking. Because God doesn't only call us to comfortable things. In fact, most often God calls us to step out and to do something difficult. And I think it's something we've seen. And it might be that you are paying attention and watching and be like, no, that's not who we are on the tug team. We're people that tug into more.
Yeah.
We're not people who are satisfied with putting that there. But I think we have to look at it and realize there are all kinds of areas of all of our life. That was the thing about this series that was so good, is that you might have starting the conversation thinking, this one doesn't apply to me.
Yeah.
But there are places in our life where we protect our peace over everything else. And it's super important to talk about.
Ready for the bomb?
Yep.
Good enough
leads
to disobedience.
It's true. Yeah.
It's good enough. I'm good enough. It's peaceful. My marriage is good enough. My finances are good enough.
Right.
The way I love my kids, it's good enough. My relationship with God, it's good enough. And good enough is the thing that kills more.
Yeah.
And who's the one who has more for you? God. God has more for you. And so good enough leads to disobedience.
Right.
Now, I think that there's moments that we need to call it good enough. I think there are seasons that we can be content.
Well, we're not.
But contentment's different than a attitude of it's good enough.
Right. I was going to say contentment is not the same thing at all. In fact, because contentment is being content where we are, trusting and knowing that God is still doing more, but we're just waiting on His perfect timing. We're waiting on His perfect plan. Whereas good enough is a settling. Mm-hmm. It's a I don't want to do anything hard. Sometimes it's built in places of I've already done enough hard. I think a lot of times in our life we get to the places where I've done a lot hard. I've had to handle things that were hard. And so now I don't want to deal with anything hard anymore. And so I am good enough. I'm comfortable. I'm safe. I'm secure. And so we stop. And that has always been you and I's fear of even talking about contentment is because we don't want to be stagnant.
100%.
Because just like stagnant water gets moldy and mildewy and nasty and toxic in our life, if we're not careful, if we're unwilling to do that hard thing to keep things flowing, we'll get stagnant and we'll get stale and nasty. You know,
we just did the episode, take pudding off the throne.
Yes.
Take eating junk food in your palate and all the things. Right. Do you know that I have been in this, I'm breaking it now. I've been in this cycle of gaining and losing weight. Do you know why? Is because I get really diligent, get really focused, and I lose some weight, and I get out of the double X shirts and into the extra large t-shirts, and then, well, that's good enough. Mm-hmm. That's good enough. I can have burger and fries and a shake.
Right.
That's good. What? I'm doing great. I'm down 30 pounds. That's good enough. The problem with that is it leaves you living this life of ups and downs, and where you're constantly having to fight out of a hole.
Right.
It's good enough. I've lost enough. No, man. You haven't reached a goal.
Yeah.
You're just to this new level of comfort.
Right. Well, I remember as a teenager.
Comfortable. Yeah.
Yeah. I remember as a teenager, my youth pastor used to say, like, all things grow, and when they stop growing, they start dying. And so if you're not growing, you're dying, this idea. And I think it's so intrinsic in me. But it's to your point that, like, if we get to a place of just comfort, then we say, this is good enough. I'll just stay right here. But what we don't realize is that things will start dying off. And pretty quickly, I think we've tried so hard to protect the peace. That's why the peace is sitting on the throne.
Yeah.
But what ends up happening is, in our comfort there, some other things actually can become more catastrophic if we're not willing to really keep addressing, hey, I know this may not be the most peaceful thing in this moment, but I have to step into all the fullness of what God has. I have to address this small thing right now while it's small so it doesn't become huge.
Yeah.
And it's a fight and it's a struggle. And I think it's important that we talk about it and help people maybe who are listening go, okay, well, what are you talking about? What in my life are you saying that I'm protecting my peace? What does that even mean? How can I see it? How can I identify it? And then how is that so harmful to my life?
Yeah, I think we protect our peace when one of those challenges comes our direction and we would rather avoid it than look at it.
Yeah.
And I think that this is everything from, like, avoiding cleaning the house.
Right.
To avoiding dealing with our own mental health.
Yeah.
I talk to so many people that won't go to counseling. The reason they won't go to counseling is because they don't want to have to think about it all again.
Right.
I don't want to have to trudge all of that up.
Yeah.
I don't want to have to think about how my mom used to treat me.
Yeah.
I don't want to deal with what happened to me as a 9-year-old.
Yeah.
And because we would rather just let we would just rather let this pretend comfort of that didn't happen to me. It's an illusion. It's hard work to get healthy.
Yeah.
It's so hard. In this series, Get Off the Throne, I said that these are not messages that I wrote. They're messages that I wrestled. Mm-hmm. And that wrestling, it's hard work. It's exhausting. And wrestling is not peaceful.
Right.
You go watch the UFC, those dudes are not in peace, but they're fighting for victory. Mm-hmm. And I think, I don't know if I answered that.
It's good. I think there's two types. For me in my life, I've identified there's two different areas where they're two sides of the same coin. So we talk a lot about our counseling and, like, emotional health. And, like, on my emotional health journey, I realized that I grew up in a house that was more chaotic. Mm-hmm. And so for me, I was, like, determined that in my life, the house that I was creating was going to be full of peace. It was going to be joyful. It was going to be fun. When we go on vacation, it's going to be picture perfect every minute, all the time. And I would get so devastated by these moments that weren't perfectly peaceful. So what I would do is I would be over the top. I've talked with my counselor about it even in recent weeks, that there are over preparedness that I have, that my brain thinks super quickly and super strategically, but it's really a defense mechanism to try to maintain a joyful atmosphere at all times. And so there's this overcompensation that has happened in my life in moments where I'm trying to put peace on the throne. And it's actually very harmful. And I think that could be some people's angle, is that I am over preparing for my kids. I am going to double check on, triple check on them so that they don't have to walk through anything painful. Well, that's not good. They have to learn some of their own mistakes. They have to learn some of their own things. So in putting peace on the throne, there's been times that I'm over compensating, I'm over planning, I'm overworking it. And then when it doesn't, I freak out. Then I lose my absolute junk, which is the opposite of what I've been looking and striving for. Then the other side of it is the passivity, that there are certain areas of life that I wanted to stay joyful, peaceful, happy, that I just don't even talk about it, don't even address it, don't even look at it, and keep smiling and nodding and just like, yeah, it's fine. And if I just look over here, not over here, and have not been willing in certain seasons to pull junk out, to say what I feel, to say what I think in a certain season or scenario, or what you just said is a great word, or to wrestle with my spouse, with my friends, with my children, an idea, a concept, a situation, because I'm afraid it will cause a moment or a season to not be peaceful. And so I think there's two sides of the coin that it's really important, for me anyway, has been like, hey, wait a minute. I have to look at it and go, do I have peace on the throne right now? So am I overdoing or am I underdoing? And both are they're probably different personality traits, but they're also probably different scenarios.
Well, because some people will jump in and fight this, but will avoid that at all costs.
Correct.
And so seeing in you which one you need to deal with.
Because for me, there's been seasons with my husband and I where financially, like I never really learned growing up how to balance that correctly, how to do that correctly. And then I overcompensated in seasons and overspent and overdid. And I did not want to talk about that. I didn't want to talk about a budget. I didn't want to talk about, how much I spent or how much I should spend.
Pretend like it's not
just
there.
Pretend like it's all good and everything's good. Let's not talk about it. Let's not do it.
You got to take pretend off the throne.
Good grief. But because that's a wrestle that I knew we would have to conquer, but it was going to be uncomfortable.
Yeah.
It was going to require boundaries for me. It was going to require boundaries for him. It was going to require...
And it required you getting told no.
Yeah.
It requires you being told something that you don't
that I didn't want
like.
to hear. Right. And being vulnerable enough to admit that I was wrong, being vulnerable enough to have, what is the word? Like, we're both making
compromise.
Why can't I say the word? Yeah. That we both had to have compromise in things where, because my husband is the super saver and I'm the super spender. Okay, well, let's find a place in the middle. And that, because what could have been is instead he said, no, this is the way it's going to be. And you're right. Okay. And I just I submitted to it. Well, that is another way of passivity that won't last very long. That I was just, if I would have just, he would have said, well, we just won't save all our money and not spend it. I mean, that's an extreme. But if he would have done that, I could have said, okay, I'll just listen to what you say. But pretty quickly.
Well, resentment grows.
Resentment would have grown. Bitterness would have grown.
Yeah, you're now not living in balance.
Right. And so instead, I had to wrestle in me. Why am I this way? What am I doing? I have to be willing to address some unpeaceful things, and have this conversation. And in the same way, talk to him in a way that is like, hey, how can we compromise together to a happy end result, not to my extreme or your extreme? Because that's what, as people, we want it to go our way.
Yeah.
And I think that can be a fear so often in marriages and relationships and friendships is I don't want to bring up this thing because it's going to change the relationship. It's going to change the conversation. It's going to change the way dinner time goes, whatever.
That's really good.
And it did, you know what? For my husband and I, it did for a season negatively.
Yeah.
But now it is beyond where it was even before that issue because we've learned to trust and walk together. And so I'm
afraid to bring it up. I'm afraid to deal with it because if I deal with it, it's going to be uncomfortable. It's going to change things. Things are going to get awkward.
Right. And it might for a minute, but how do we get past, how do we allow ourselves to,
God,
I always say it about you, that you are willing to run into awkward and it feels like a slam, but it's not. It's a compliment of a gift that there are awkward things in life, but how often I hear it, especially love you next generation, but this young generation growing up, that's their excuse for it. Oh, I can't do that. It's so awkward. It's so awkward. And I'm like, no, it's awkward as awkward does. Run into the awkward and then it won't be awkward.
We just had a meeting. Well, not just a little while ago.
Yeah. A month or two ago.
That was awkward.
Yeah.
It was, had a meeting with
some conversation
family in the church about some decisions that are being made.
Yeah.
It was awkward. It was confrontational.
Right.
But the things that the people that we talked with, the decisions that they're making are going to lead to destruction.
Right.
It's going to lead to destruction in their life. And so as someone who loves them, there's a decision that I have to make.
Yeah.
Am I going to watch the destruction that's happening in their life and not say anything and keep peace on my throne and keep peace on our relationship? Or am I going to love them enough to go and say hard, awkward, wrestling stuff with the hope of their growth?
Right.
Because if I don't say anything at all and I keep peace on the throne, the relationship's going to die anyways.
Right.
And I would rather give it a hope of health than just a guaranteed withering and dying.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so embrace the awkward, man. Embrace the difficult. I got a call from a guy who's on the tug team, who's an executive pastor.
Yeah.
So he's not the lead. He's kind of a number 2 role. And he was talking to me about some staffing issues and some stuff going on in the church that his boss, their pastor, just wouldn't deal with.
Right.
And I'm like, well, are they gonna fire that person? Or there's gonna be a conflict conversation?
Right.
Is there gonna be a come to Jesus meeting? And his answer was, I don't think so.
Right.
So what do I do? And it sucked because I didn't have a great answer, because it was like, well, you're just gonna have to stew in it.
Yeah. You're
just gonna have to deal with it, because the leadership isn't dealing with this awkward moment. They would rather let peace sit on the throne.
Yeah.
Let's see how it plays out. Let's see what happens. Let's see how it goes. Listen, if you wait to see how stuff plays out, then the devil's going to win.
Correct.
The devil, he wants to steal, to kill, and destroy every aspect of your whole life.
Right.
Your ministry, your marriage, your health, your finances, your children. He wants to steal it all. And if we just wait to see what happens, then the devil's the only one who's making plays.
Well, you just said he's going to have to stew it out. And I think that is such a we both right now, there's probably no one listening that if their child is walking into the street, into oncoming traffic, is not going to scream, run, look as awkward, absurd, yell, get their kid back, run in the street, throw them back, do all that they can to save their life. Yeah. But yet in these moments where nothing is boiling just yet, it's just starting to simmer, we sit in it, we stew in it, and we wait for it. And we're going to be like, what is it? The frog, or how you cook a lobster, or you cook a thing, you put it in the pot and then turn it on. I don't even know what it is. And we're going to cook to death. Because we see it as, oh, it's not that big a deal.
Well,
oh, it's not that big of a problem. Yeah. But we're not realizing that we're actually running into the street and about to get hit by the bus.
That's such a good illustration.
Yeah.
Because what many times we do is we wait to yell until the bumper is 3 feet away.
Right, right.
The Mack truck is coming to run something over.
Right.
And we wait until it's right there.
Right.
No, man. Deal with it before the thing turns the corner a mile away.
Right, right.
Hey, kid, I know there's no traffic, but you're in the middle of the street.
Yeah, this is not a good idea.
I understand that when you look this way and you look that way, there's no truck coming. But playing in the middle of the street is dangerous.
Right.
So, hey, listen to me.
Right.
From experience, get out of the street.
Yeah, it's so
And
good.
the people say, what, dude, this is totally safe. I can play out in the street.
Yeah.
I don't see no cars coming. And I'm like, yeah, but cars go 70 miles an hour.
Right.
It's confrontational. Yeah. And maybe confrontation is a word that has to be introduced into the conversation, because whether it's confronting, the hardest thing to confront is something in us.
Right.
That's called self-awareness.
Right.
It's easier to confront things in other people. Well, they do this and they need to do that. I need to fix it. But then in our own selves, we don't tell ourselves to get on the street.
Right. No, it's really good. We're unwilling to admit in our own self some of the places, maybe because we've had enough people confront us. Maybe that's why. Maybe we've lived a life where other people.
We're sick of.
I'm sick of you telling me what I'm doing wrong, how I'm doing it wrong, how I should do it different. Maybe it's from childhood. I mean, for real, childhood trauma of being in an abusive situation, being in just even a manipulated situation. And it's like, no, never mind. I'm not going to confront that. I've already been confronted enough. Maybe it's from, I'm proud of where I am. That's what you said. And so that's good enough. I'm good with where I'm at. And I'm not actually being destroyed yet. Nothing's actually, I know there's some things in me that I I don't want to talk about it. Or when it comes up, it makes me have all those feelings, or I lay awake at night and can't sleep because of, but it's all right. It's okay. Nobody else can see it. So I don't want to address it and deal with it.
Yeah. You said something earlier that was really good. You said maybe we don't deal with the thing that's happening, confront it, because we had already dealt with some of it.
Yeah.
Like,
no, it's true.
It's like we got out of one lane of traffic,
right?
But we're still standing in another lane.
Yeah.
There's still other steps to go. And I think that when we have had those really not peaceful seasons, we just don't want to cause another one. And we've been
right.
there.
Yeah, 100%.
We've been there with staff transitions, people leaving and moving. Good God, how many times does our church have to move buildings?
Right.
And it's like, no, I don't want to move again.
Yeah.
I don't want to move again, because if I move again, I know the problems it's going to create.
Right.
So talk about that.
No, it's really good.
You alluded to it, and I think there's a lot there.
There is so much in that. Yeah, I think it is from, and especially for us as people on the tug, we have to get comfortable with confrontation. We have to be comfortable with the change, whatever the word is. That what happens is there's things that we've dealt with, there's things that we've addressed. Even for me right now in this season, going back, I'm in this like deep origin work that I already dealt with a lot of this. I already went through my family story. I've already dealt with the trauma of my parents' divorce and the things that did in me. I've already dealt with some of those things that made me broken and sad and confused. But now I'm going even further back. Now I'm digging out some really deep stuff.
Yeah.
And it's helping me identify where now we've talked about a little bit, like the role that I've picked up in life, the person and the personality that I've carried all the way till I'm 40. And suddenly it's not serving me in certain areas anymore, but I didn't want to confront any more of it because I already confronted a lot of it.
So good.
And it was super hard. And it
so
was like,
good.
I'm good now. I
already did that.
I literally told my counselor last session yesterday, I literally said, I don't know sometimes how to keep trudging it up because I'm okay now, is what I said. I'm okay. And I'm like, and he's like, right, but okay still has a whole lot of words attached to the word okay.
Yeah, okay is a big gap.
Right.
It's not good.
Right. It's not great.
I'm fine.
It's not horrible.
I'm fine.
It's just okay. Yeah.
But fine is a 4-letter F word.
Right. No, it's true.
It's dangerous.
It's dangerous. And so I've had to be like, okay, but what do I want for my kids? What do I want for my grandkids? Like my kids are actually stepping into adulthood right now. And so there's been moments of it where I felt like, it doesn't matter. I already screwed it up. Like they're already grown. Now they're about to be in counseling. So they can be in counseling for what I didn't deal with. But wait a minute, what would I hope for? Oh, I would hope that someone would come back and say, hey, I know I screwed it up, but I love you. I'm sorry. And I'm trying to do better. Oh yeah. Okay. Then I should dig in me some of those things. And the word wrestle really gives me so much freedom to realize that there is so much goodness in being willing to wrestle it that I think we're so afraid of the damage. And what you and I have talking about, like staff transitions, church transitions, pain that we've walked through some painful crap in the last 7 years. And so it can make us not want to wrestle it anymore because I've already done it and
I don't want another black eye.
It really freaking hurt. And I wounded people and people wounded me. And yet when I understand it's the Holy Spirit in me, like helping me wrestle it out, then I'm like, oh wait, this is so I won't do any more damage.
Yeah.
Or maybe I'll do less damage this next time.
Yeah.
Maybe this next season, this next generation, this next argument with my kid, whatever, I can handle it a little bit better than I did the time before if I'm willing to really wrestle and confront this crap. And so, yeah, it's this very uncomfortable and yet very holy work.
The real name, I know that we're picking all P words.
Yeah.
But you said it's take okay off the throne.
Yeah. Yeah.
Take okay. I'm okay. This is okay.
I'm okay. It's okay. Yeah.
Everything. Aren't we okay? Aren't we okay? Well, yeah, we're okay. But are we really where God has us?
Yeah.
Like,
well, is okay with God? Like, is okay what he really wants for us and has chosen for us?
Okay is not okay.
Or is okay what I'm okay with?
Well, okay isn't the more.
Right.
The fullness.
Right.
God has a plan for us. Exceedingly, abundantly, above all we could ask or imagine.
Right.
That doesn't sound like okay.
Mm-mm.
But
not at all.
It's so good, man. But we live at okay.
Yeah.
Because we don't want to wrestle to exceeding abundantly.
Right.
I feel with this mentality, a little cursed. Personally.
Okay. Sorry. Keep going. I mean,
because I've been like you put words to it that I'm willing to walk into awkward.
Yeah.
And I've never understood that until you started telling me that about myself. Because every relationship that I've ever had.
Right.
Like I'm the one that sat my group of friends down when we were 15 and talked about how I don't want to look at porn anymore.
Right.
I've always been the one to like admit it or say it or pull it or fight it. I have a meeting this afternoon at 3:00 with a guy
that doesn't even know it's coming.
He thinks he's coming to talk to me about one thing, but he doesn't. I'm about to right hook this dude in the face
in love
because I love him so much and I see so much potential in him.
Yeah.
And it's a curse a little bit because you're wrestling people you love.
Right.
I'm going to have this meeting with this guy and I love him so much that it's worth the wrestle.
Yeah. No, it's really good. And I think that what you're saying is
Sorry, I'm not saying a whole lot of words because I'm in real time.
In real time.
God's downloading to me.
Yeah.
A part of my.
Well,
the curse, and it's not a curse.
No,
it's the weight. It's the mantle of having vision and believing there's more.
And as wrestling through our origin stories, we recognize there's roles we pick up, and what's so good about God is that He turns it for good. Yeah. And so you and I both have realized in the last year that the reason some of our brain thoughts go quickly and solve every possible scenario is from some of our like way long ago things that we walked through. And yet, how good is God that He turns those things for good? And He allows us then to, the reason you're willing to run into awkward is because you can see the truck that's 2 miles away. And you see the truck 2 miles away that other people can't see till it's about a mile away. That's the truth. Mm-hmm. And you and I, because of life scenarios, where some might say, oh man, that was hard. Yeah, it was hard. It was sad. It was heavy. But instead of going, but now it's just enough. It's like, no, I did walk through that and I don't want anyone else to ever have to walk through that. Or I don't want to ever get to this place. Or I've seen others walk through it and I don't want to get there. So when I see it 2 miles away, I'm going to address it then. And that's why you're willing. That's why it feels awkward because you're addressing it.
I'm bringing it up too early.
A little too early.
Everything's okay.
There's not a problem.
Why are you bringing this up? Everything's okay.
Yeah. But you see the potential for what could be. And so you say it as that. Yeah, it's a double-edged sword of like, the only reason it's a curse is because it makes you have to walk into awkward moments. But it's such a blessing for the fact that you're willing to and able to, and for those who will receive it, then it helps save them from what they're,
Okay, so, dude, sorry guys, my mind's a little blown a little bit on my own understanding. Yeah. Okay, of some of the wrestling that I have to do in myself.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
So what does somebody need to do? Like, okay, you've been living in okay. Someone's been living in okay. They know that there's a truck a mile down the street.
Or maybe they don't.
They know that they're okay, or they have people telling them that there's something that needs to be worked on or dealt with. How do we start the wrestling match? How do we help them see that okay is on the throne?
Yeah. No, I mean, something you and I say to each other a lot, or in certain scenarios, it's like, hey, I just want you to know because of this thing, I'm trying to navigate this other thing might eep out of me. It might eke out. It might like, whatever. Right. There's different phrases we use, but like, what's eeping out of you? Like, what is it? Is it frustration? Is it discontentment? Is it, is it passivity? Do you feel lonely? Do you feel disconnected? Like, what is it that you feel?
Okay.
But then identify that what you feel is not the root of where it's coming.
Okay, so check the dashboard.
Yeah, yeah.
So in your car you have a dashboard, it has gauges and lights and all the things.
Yeah.
What Whitney's saying is genius. Check where are you having a caution light in your life?
Right.
Man, I'm lonely.
Yeah.
I'm angry. What are
it could be people keep saying this about me and that's not even true. Like,
Yeah.
Okay, well, maybe you're angry. Maybe you're frustrated. Maybe you feel misunderstood.
Everybody else does it. It's not that big a deal.
Right. What is it?
I've already made so much progress.
Right.
I've already grown so much. I'm already so different from who I used to be. These feelings or outbursts are defense mechanisms to keep to protect your okay.
And then something our counselor said to us years ago that has helped us both is like, okay, well then like the big question is you're identifying the fear, but like what's the worst that can happen? So from that okay, so what am I so afraid of that? What am I so afraid of my loneliness? Well, I'm afraid I'll never have friends again. I'm afraid where is that coming from? Why do you feel that way? What is the deep core fear in you? Well, the deep core fear is that I'm not enough and nobody wants to actually be my friend. Oh, wait. Like, we have to be willing to take it 3 steps beyond just the dashboard. Because the dashboard is not, like, I don't know anything about cars, but I know that when my engine light comes on, I better take it to somebody who does know. And so, like, I have to be willing to sit and, like, look at my gauges and go, something is not correct. And then if I can't go deeper in that, I have to go to somebody else and say, can you go deeper with me?
That's the answer.
Can you look at this? Because like I am exploding here, or I am frustrated here, or I'm really sad here, but I'm not really sure why, because it doesn't make a lot of sense. That can be counseling, that can be friends, that can be people in your life, your family, whoever. Because for me, there's times where I can easily evaluate, oh, this thing's eeping out, but it's really rooted here. But some things are freaking tricky.
You said it. It's so good. It's 3 steps deeper.
Yeah.
That's what we have to search for.
Yeah. I have all these.
Y'all need to write Whitney a letter.
Stupid.
And tell her, put it in the mail with a stamp on it, and tell her thank you for that. I'm telling you, it's genius.
Well,
we see the thing in our life that we don't like.
Right.
It's 3 layers deeper of why that light's on.
It really is.
It's not a problem with the dashboard. It's a problem with the transmission cooler.
Correct.
It's far deep off.
I was like,
you don't even know what it is.
Yeah.
I think my battery died. I'm out of gas. No.
Right.
Your battery's not dead. You're not out of gas. Something real 3 layers deeper. And you know what you need? Somebody else who knows how to work on that.
Correct.
I can fix all kind of stuff. I've never rebuilt a transmission.
Right.
I don't know how.
Right.
It's too complicated, man. I don't have the tools. I don't know how to build and repair a transmission.
Yeah.
And so when my truck's not driving right, God, Whitney, it's so genius. So this is what we're saying.
There's probably also, like, to me, the other problem is then I'm not saying it correctly, so you can help me. But like we put gas in when it really needs oil, or we put. What happens is then because we're unwilling to go those 3 layers deep, we mask but we actually cause more damage. So
last time I was broke down on the side of the road, it only cost $300 for an alternator.
Right.
And so it should only be
I'm just gonna go get another alternator.
It's only $300. No, baby. No. Now a transmission is $3,000.
Right.
And you're not going to have your car for 10 days.
Right.
You know what that means? Your marriage is about to be in a fight for.
Exactly.
When Rachel and I have really got into deeper healing, we're shell shocked.
Right.
I come home from counseling, and I'm not okay.
Right.
And I have to tell her, hey, baby, I don't even know who I am anymore. My operating system needs to be rewritten.
Yeah.
That's put the thing in the shop and do the work. But if we won't go those 3 levels deeper, we're just gonna live in okay.
Yeah. And
I didn't know. I'm sorry.
No, keep going.
The first time I really went into counseling, I dealt with some ministry hurt stuff.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
And I thought I just did the deep work in my life.
Right.
I'm good. I'm healed. I fixed it. I'm good. I'm okay now.
Right.
But then as I keep tugging into more, I realized that no, the reason that I was in the position to get hurt how I was here is because of character stuff in me. Maybe character's not the right word.
Character traits,
personality stuff, deep
roles that you picked up.
My role is from when I was 7.
Right.
There's this role in me as a 7-year-old that I picked up along the way, and it allowed me to get manipulated up here.
Right.
And until I realized that my role that I had drawn for myself was to just pick it up. Just pick it up, Trustin. Just pick it up. You can pick it up. I didn't realize what I was doing to myself until my counselor he was like, let's talk about your parents. I was like, I don't need to. My parents are the best. He's like, okay, well, let's talk about your relationship with your dad. Let's talk about your relationship with my mom. I was like, okay, cool. And I'm talking to him fully confident there ain't nothing there.
Yeah.
Because I have the best parents.
Right.
They're probably watching. Mom, Dad, you did a good job.
Right.
I have the best parents. But that doesn't mean that the circumstances of my childhood and my life and difficulties that our family had to walk through didn't shape my view of the world.
Correct.
And
we've all been shaped.
We've all been shaped somewhere.
We've all been shaped by the things in the people that raised us, the place we were raised, the circumstances surrounding how we were raised.
And we're nature and we're nurture.
Right.
And until I would
both.
really understand that nurture,
right,
I could not understand how I was acting as a man.
Right.
That was wrestling.
Yeah.
And until you do that wrestling, you're just okay.
But the fear...
There's 3 levels deeper.
But the fear is that if I wrestle it, your body, so dang, we're getting deep, sorry. Your body remembers traumas and feelings and emotions. And if we feel suddenly a feeling we felt when we dealt with something way back where, maybe in our childhood, maybe just something we dealt with 2 years ago that was hard and we had to overcome, then we get this response in us of like, oh crap, I don't want to go there again. And so, I mean,
protect myself, back up.
Yeah, I've already done this hard
it's
thing.
Okay.
I don't want, right.
Put frosting on the cake that's broken.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But even just this last weekend in our home, we had a conversation between the 4 of us, Aaron and Mick and Easton and I, and it got escalated, passionate. It wasn't like screaming and like profanity or anything, but there was some yelling and some intensity, and it felt like the season where I was out of control emotionally, where I was ramping up and I was overwhelmed and I was letting things boil out of me like crazy. It's what it felt like. It's not what it was, because what we were in was actually a better, healthy season of wrestling than we've ever been before. So yeah, I didn't love the intensity of the conversation, but in me, I started to feel it rev up in me that you're not safe. You need to scream and freak out and react. I started to feel internally what I used to feel back then. But this was a new level of health and understanding and wisdom. And it's like, no, here's the clarity. Here's what we're going to talk about. And crazy is what we used to have set our family back a month of chaos and words that were said and things we shouldn't have done. And then my devastation of this is not the peaceful home that I was trying so hard to fight for. And so now I'm going to scream and mom's going to act even crazier trying to get the peace. Was a 1-hour conversation, heated, intense, like thing that was just heavy and hard. It's family. You have to deal with real things in family. Just being honest.
No, which is
I'm a pastor. I still have family.
No, which is good for you to say. Thank you for saying it. So Pastor Whitney, dressed like Dick Tracy, coming on Sunday looking like Barney, married to Aaron the Silver Fox pilot.
Right.
Guess what? They got into a shouting match.
Yeah, we had
last week.
Last Saturday in our home, had an intense conversation about real things that had to be handled.
Quit beating yourself up.
Right.
Quit it. You're calling yourself more messed up than you are.
Right.
Life is hard.
Yeah.
Life is hard.
And decisions are real.
People have different opinions.
Right. But all that to say, what I wanted to react and respond with was devastation. I failed us. And then an actual, in the moment, real time freak out. But because I am now understanding, no, wait a minute. Just because there was intense trauma, drama, pain, hurt, yelling, chaos then, no. You've gotten all the way over here. That's not what this is today. This is just dealing with this one isolated scenario. Okay, I'm going to get my peace off the throne. Yeah. I'm going to get my passivity off the throne. We're going to handle this correctly. And I'm
going to choose to not be triggered.
Correct.
Because of how I feel.
Because I feel the trigger, and that's the word I should have used.
Because it feels like it used to feel.
It feels like it used to feel, but it's not what it used to be. It's not. And so it's not for any of us, because we've all been on a journey together. And so what I could hear my husband say a word that he used to say, and it might have made me feel this way, or he might have made it that way back then. He don't mean it like that now. I had to hear it. We had to all hear it correctly. And what is true is that already, like, this is Tuesday, but even by Sunday night, we were sitting together again, having dinner again in a very peaceful space, able to openly talk about the conversation we'd had the night before and why it had gone the way it had gone and what people were feeling and thinking from it, because we're not who we used to be. And so it's easy to want to run away from that moment. In that moment, I either wanted to just leave the house, not have the conversation, or freak the junk out, because I can win. My brain can get me to win with words, but also with my intensity, both. And I wanted to do that, but that's not what was called for in the moment. It was, let's handle it, let's heal it, let's actually have the conversation about it. And identify that we're all humans and we're still going to have emotional reactions. But then by Sunday, let's be able to all sit and just go, hey, some of that got a little beyond what we wanted it to, but we're not who we used to be. And so do you see where I was coming from? Yeah. Do I see where you were coming from? Yeah. Do you see where they were coming from? Okay. Let's all four come together and be able to move forward. And that's not being fake. It's not being pretend.
No.
That, so you're just a screaming, yelling family? No, we're just a family. And so like we dealt with hard stuff on Saturday, and then we showed up at church on Sunday and smiled and loved God, because you can do both.
Yeah.
Because we can do hard things. So
it's so good. So understanding those trigger moments and then wrestling with them internally and dealing with it. Because when Whitney says she could have won the argument, you could have won the moment.
Correct.
But then those
lost.
Those that you love would walk away feeling unheard.
Right.
And no progress.
Right.
Now there's other personalities that aren't yelly screamy. They are just shut downy.
Correct.
And cryy.
Correct.
Or avoiding or whatever. Like,
no, it's really
there's all the
true.
personalities. And so we've got to choose to get untriggered.
Yeah. What is my default? I think is the question you have to ask yourself. Because my default is to scream and freak out. That's my default.
On revolvers, like guns.
Oh, yeah.
There's a hammer on the back. You know the hammer, you pull the hammer back.
I don't, but I trust you.
Well, so like in revolvers.
I've shot a couple of guns, but you remember.
If you don't, oh yeah. We went to a shooting range for somebody's birthday.
For my birthday.
And Whitney's shooting, I took an AR, and Whitney's shooting through the AR, and I don't see her hitting the target anywhere. And somehow she's looking through the optical wrong, and she's shooting into the ceiling and shooting the track that's bringing the target back and forth.
He said this should be an $1,800 fine.
They almost kicked us out of the
thing.
Okay, anyways.
Then he saw I was sad and pathetic, and he was nice.
Okay, go. On a revolver.
On a revolver hammer.
There's a hammer.
Yep.
That if you just pull the trigger on a revolver without the hammer cocked, it's a very hard pull. But the reason that you cock the hammer is because it makes it a very easy pull.
Yeah.
And what we have to learn is to decock the hammer in us.
Right.
Have a harder trigger.
Yep.
Have a longer pull before you lose your junk. And I know that this illustration only hits 20% of the Tug of War audience.
But it makes
maybe
sense.
It's those men that need to understand they're walking around all cocked.
Right. Super triggered.
Decock your trigger, man.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm wrong.
Right.
Maybe I need to learn. Maybe I'm in the middle of the street. I'm about to get ran over. But because this feels scary and it feels not okay, and it feels not peaceful, bang, 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 bang. I'm safe now.
Yeah. No, it's so good.
It's so deep. I hope it's even getting, I hope the depth of what I'm thinking is even able to be broadcast.
No, it is, because in a very like practical, tactical sense, there are the opportunities to fight, flight, or freeze. It is the opportunity in these moments when we feel, oh crap, my peace is being stolen. That's what it is. My safety, my okayness. It's not okay anymore, or it's been okay, so I just want to leave it okay. I don't want to get any. But you have these opportunities to fight, to run away, flight, or to freeze, just to like totally shut down. And what you're saying is, for men, for people, some people, it's to just fight everyone. Yeah. But it could be that you're running away from it and you need to address it. It could be what you're saying is really, it's super good.
There's another option.
What is it?
Faith.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Maybe instead of fighting or freezing or running away, fighting, you could just have faith in the person who's confronting you.
Yeah. Yeah.
You could have faith that when you get into that awkward conversation, God's going to give you the words to say.
So good.
I used to go into conflict and I need to have bullet points. I don't anymore.
Yeah.
Because I now just know that God's with me.
No, it's so good. And have the faith in the process.
Yeah.
In knowing that if you are, we always say like assume positive intent. If I am with people that are trustworthy, then I can assume their positive intent in this conversation. We can work together to get to the other side. And this is going to be a process, and it might be painful for a minute, and it might be like wounds from a friend can be trusted, but also like I can trust your side of it, even if it's not all the way correct. I can trust your heart in it, even if the words you say come out wrong.
Wow.
I can trust your best intention for me, or for us, our relationship, or for this situation is that it would end in the more that God has for us in that. And so I'm going to trust you. I'm going to lean in. I'm going to hear what you have to say. I'm going
to look past when you've done it wrong before.
Yeah. I'm going to replace the old with the new. It's hard to do, but in real time, if we will have that faith in God and then faith in each other, that like he's leading us to the next right step, then we can get there.
Wow.
That's good. That was a good episode.
Wow. Guys.
Yeah.
Where do you have okay on the throne?
Yeah.
Where do you have peace? Where do you have it's good enough?
Yeah.
Where do you have this is fine?
Right.
In charge. Because fine, it's okay, leads to disobedience.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because God has more for you, man.
Right.
He wants you to thrive and soar into all of the gifts that he has.
Yeah.
He wants you to run things and change people's lives and all the visions and dreams in your own heart. He wants you to be able to accomplish.
Yeah.
But if we're just living okay, we aren't going to be the people that can do it.
Right. It's really good.
Pull it off the throne, put God there, have a conversation, deal with okay, write Whitney a letter, tell her thank you, because dang, that 3-level thing, money.
Hopefully in like listening to this, you're not frustrated at us, but that you're letting God work in you. That's my hope in it, is that you are able to have the faith to trust that like, hey, if I'll just lean in, that God's going to do it.
Well, they just click off.
Well, that's true.
They're just like, man, these people make me mad. Click. Well, all those people that already clicked off, they just got okay on the throne.
They be gone. Yeah. No, love y'all.
Love you. Wait,
what?
Pray for them.
Oh, God, help us as we take okay and get it off the throne, that we would literally be surrendered to you, knowing that more is not our more, it's your more. And saying, hey, God, show us where you have for us next. Help us address the things that need to be addressed. Help us not be passive, but be proactive into what you want for us. God, we love you and thank you. Amen.
Amen. Love you guys. See you next time.